Hi everyone, this is Kelly Saunders. I'm Program Manager with Arizona State University's Rob and Melanie Walton Sustainability Solutions Service. Thank you for joining us today with the Sustainability Solutions Science Fair. I'm so excited that you're excited to be a part of this. And today I have with me a special guest. Her name is Dr. Nalini Chhetri. She is the Associate Director of International Initiatives at ASU's School for the Future of Innovation in Society, as well as a clinical associate professor at ASU's School for the Innovation in Society, as well as the School of Sustainability. Thank you so much, Dr. Chhetri, for joining me today. I have a couple questions for you, Dr. Chhetri. I was hoping you might shed some light for these students about sustainability solutions and practical solutions with sustainability research. So, Dr. Chhetri, could you tell us about your research and why it has the potential for systematic transformation?
Thank you, Kelly. Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Nalini Chhetri, like Kelly said, and I'm a faculty and professor at ASU. I am actually doing research in multiple areas. Like most faculty at ASU, we come from multidisciplinary background. So I have a background in both natural sciences and the social sciences. Natural sciences meaning biology and then social sciences meaning something like social studies. So, but I also have a background working as a professional in what is called Global South, many countries in Asia. So I worked in sustainable development, working on water with women, with literacy, on engineering projects, on energy and forestry. So I have actually been working on multiple fronts for many decades now. Currently, I'm working on 2 research projects around the world, which has not only transformative essence to it, but also is impacting millions of people. So the first one is called energy access. What we are doing in this is, and I say we because none of the research that we do is done individually. We work in teams with multiple disciplines and experts and practitioners from all kinds, people on the ground, people in the university, people in the government. So what we are doing in the first research is energy access with focus in Sierra Leone right now, but also in 7 other countries. We are trying to understand why energy, for example, electricity supply, is not improving the lives of people, despite the fact we have invested so much in getting electricity to people, to homes, to communities in the US and around the world. Why is it not improving lives of everybody? Why is it that some communities continue to be deprived of electricity and the value it brings? Why is it that some communities are not able to afford electricity, afford energy, and not optimize the value it is able to give to them? And this is really complex problem. And so we try to understand how is it related to the institutional system, which is it the government? Is it finance? Is it economics? Is it just technology? So because we know that problems of the world are very complex. So we are working in 7 countries also, including the United States and Canada. And that is in Latin America, in Africa, and in Asia. So this is very, really important because energy is not just about electricity. It is also about what can it do to human beings to improve our lives, all right? The second research that I am doing, it has to do with migration and migrant population, especially in the COVID-19 situation. So what we are trying to figure out is people who are now returning home who used to be migrants, how is that affecting them? We as human beings have always been migrants. We have always looked for opportunities since the beginning of time. We have always tried to look for better land, better water, better forest, better opportunities. And so And we also in the United States are a land of immigrants. So in this particular COVID-19 situation, migrants are defined both as, highly skilled workers like doctors and engineers, but also unskilled laborers. Now, what happens when these laborers and unskilled workers go back home and they no longer have a source of income? How does that affect the family, the neighborhood, the region, the country, globally? And so we are doing multiple surveys right now with hundreds of people, asking them questions, asking and trying to get their perceptions, their aspirations, their feeling, and the facts on the ground. And we hope to develop multiple reports out of this. And we are working with think tanks and researchers in multiple countries and also with the government to do that. So again, in a team with multiple disciplines and coordinating. So this is the kind of research I'm doing, which I think has implications for transformations around the world.
Now, Dr. Chhetri, could you enlighten us to how you got interested in this type of research? I find it fascinating that you want to look into electricity, for instance, and see that maybe this didn't have the outcome for the community that was anticipated. What was the path that led you to doing these types of research projects?
Yeah, I never started out thinking I'm going to study electricity and its impact.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the research that happens are very incremental. That means step by step, right? But what I was always interested in right since I was a child, in middle school and in high school, was helping communities. And so now I use a fancy word. Working with vulnerable communities.
Yeah.
It's working with people who do not have maybe the opportunities that I did. It could be low income people. It could be people, immigrants. It could be women, children, people of color. So these are different kind of vulnerable communities. And so in my work around the world on sustainable development, we have found out that there are people who do not seem to benefit from the technologies that's available to us. Why? And we find out it's not just about funding. And so as I become more mature as a researcher, and over the years, I have tried to use those elements and make my research much more informed. But to answer your question again, I have always been interested and in trying to help people. And these are values that were developed through my teachers, through my parents, through the community I was with in how do we do that? And so when opportunities came to do that, I looked at my training, I looked at my background, I looked at my education to see how I could leverage, build upon what I had. And so I work now in energy, I work in literacy, I work with immigration, and I work with multiple other things like climate. I also work on higher education, and all of that. And the common thread in all of them is how do I close the income inequality gap, and how do I work with vulnerable communities, so hopefully together we can improve everybody's lives.
I think it's wonderful how you've been able to take your knowledge and your capabilities as a researcher to help so many different populations around the world and people in different industries even. I found it really interesting when you talked about the implementation of the energy. It reminded me of the classic case of a sustainability solution gone wrong with the delivery of mosquito nets. There was a great New York Times article a few years ago that talked about how folks wanted to just give mosquito nets to populations in sub-Saharan Africa, but then they were using them as fishing nets instead of for the purpose they were given. So it's a lot about implementation and strategy with your partners on the ground for understanding how to implement these sustainability solutions.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I love hearing about how you came to your career as a sustainability researcher. I'm sure this has not been a rosy path the whole way through. So perhaps you could share some insights of barriers in your research and in your career that you've overcome to help advance sustainability solutions?
I think like everybody, I have faced challenges. I think, and everybody faces challenges of different kind. Of course, I'm a woman of color, as you can see. I am a woman, as you can see, right? And these are intrinsic and institutional barriers anyway. But I was also an immigrant in the United States, and now, of course, I'm a citizen. But all of this brings with it both institutional barriers as well as individual and societal barriers, right? But I think because of the values instilled in me by my parents, my teachers, and my family, I've never really seen them as challenges and barriers. I've seen them more as opportunities to overcome, right? That I work hard, but I also work smart. That I care, that I do it so that I don't just do it for myself, but I do it for my family, and I also do it for the people at large. So I think everybody will have different kind of challenges. And I actually would advise all the young people out there who wants to become researchers into the future is that take it one at a time. Don't be overwhelmed, right? Look for help, look for advice, because challenges and barriers, if you do it properly, can actually propel you forward. It'll make you more motivated sometimes not, but it is, if you see it as a cup half full rather than a cup half empty, which I have done, and I try to instill that in my children and those that I know, then I think the optimistic value that you have in terms of overcoming challenges, I think makes you a better person and hopefully a better researcher.
So looking back at when you first began as a researcher, looking to solve sustainability challenges, what advice would you give your past self?
That is a very good question. I think I would tell myself, my younger self, that you basically started out right. That the values that you had in terms of empathy, hard but smart work, caring for others, that you are not in this alone, that you need to, those were values that I've carried. But I think one thing I would say is I work with vulnerable communities, but that does not make them less than who they are. I have worked with communities around the world who are poor, who are destitute, but they are intelligent people. They are my equal in anything. I just had the good fortune to get a quality education, and they did not. So that the hubris and the arrogance, maybe the pride that I had, that I was educated, I no longer have that. And that was I had to overcome that, just because I had gone to college, I had a degree, that therefore I knew more. I would say no, that people have different knowledges. I have an academic and a college and a high school and a knowledge. They have an experiential knowledge. Together, our knowledge creates better synergy. So I would tell myself that. I would also tell myself that there is no shortcut, that research and good in life is all about incremental things, and it is okay. Life is full of these, whether you're a researcher or whether just on a journey, that you really need to be okay with the fact that outcome of a research entails a tedious, hard work that is not glamorous, no music like CSI, all of those kind of things. And it also means you really inform yourself well. You just don't depend on headlines, that you read, you study, you absorb, you reflect, you look, you are open-minded. If you are from a biology background, or you have a history background, or you have a political science background, then you look at other disciplines, right? That you're not siloed in your own discipline. I took so much pride that I came from a natural science background for many years. So by doing that, I shut myself out of other disciplines that provided so much different perspectives and values which now informs and makes my research better. So I work with engineers, I work with political scientists, I work with farmers, I work with women, with Native American leaders, I work with students. I respect my students. So I think that is what I would have told myself, that please leave your arrogance and your pride at the door, walk in with the respect and hunger for new knowledge, and that you cannot do good research without a team. You need to respect people, not only respect, but you sincerely must like them, because only then will you have a really good research team and create good work for the world. So leave your ego at the door, but also have a good sense of your identity. And so stand firm, but also be flexible in many ways. And I think while the basic values were the same for me, I have evolved, and I feel I have become a better researcher, but I still think I have ways to go. I have ways to go in terms of still trying to improve the way I work, the way I perform, and the way I try to embrace the younger groups of researchers coming on board.
Yes. Oh, I think that's excellent advice, Dr. Chhetri. And Dr. Chhetri, it's been an honor to get to speak with you today as well. In the past, Dr.
The honor is mine too.
Yeah, and Dr. Chhetri has been a judge of ours in the past, so with the International Science and Engineering Fair. But Dr. Chhetri, could you share with us what stood out with you the most when judging the science fair, when speaking with young innovators?
I was blown away. I mean, I was so awed and taken. In fact, I think I spent so much time just reading and then going back that I was, always trying to catch up with the rest of my team. I think what was important was the breadth as well as the depth of some of the work that was being done, but also the beginning of what I call the seed of, in many of these young students and presenters, about how they thought, how they were thinking about how to tackle an issue and a problem. And they were looking at it not just from a technical and a disciplinary point of view, but most of them were also looking at it from a sustainable point of view, like, much more about how does it, and some of them didn't use the word sustainability, but it was very implicit in how they were talking. How do I make things better? How do I make things more long-term? How do I make it more enduring? How does it help people? So all of these are principles of sustainability. And whether they said it explicitly or not, didn't matter. It was in their thinking. And to me, that gave me joy, and as well as hope that we are in very good hands with the upcoming generations of young and emerging researchers.
That's a great way to wrap up this interview, Dr. Chhetri. Thank you. And to everyone out there, thank you for taking the time to watch this symposium. I hope you learned from Dr. Chetri's experiences, how you can apply techniques and partnerships to your sustainability research as well. If you have any questions and are interested in answering the call for innovators for the Sustainability Solutions Science Fair, please reach out and email us. Our email is sustainabitysolutions@asu.edu. Thank you and have a good one. Stay safe.
Thank you.